Welcome to ISIS and the Bible Winter Gathering Week number 4, 24-hour clock. The question for today is, what were the different ways we measured time? We had a lot of very similar responses, and some make you think, which is beautiful. Well, when we edit the video, we'll display them. So before numbers, bells, and machines, time was known through light and shadow, stars and flame, day and night. Together we'll explore how our ancestors measured time by presence, and how these ancient ways still live within scripture and symbol. So this is a remembering of rhythm, not a lesson in hours. Glad you could join us today. So this is what a 24-hour clock would probably look like if you made a 24-hour one. And I've seen these before, like people made them. I don't think they've ever sold them, but I know I've seen them before. But a 24-hour clock would work like this, right? 6 a.m. would be when the sun rises, and then noon would be, the sun would be at the top. And when the sun sets, it'd be 6 p.m. and then go all the way to midnight. So you got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the sun would be this portion, and the nighttime would be this portion. The reason why I show it like this is because this is the way all clocks work. Every single one of them work in this way when you put it like this, because you got the circle of fifths in music, you got the 60 repeating numbers, it's all there. And then if you start understanding this clock, you'll understand a lot better how to start looking at astrology, because everything cycles like this, everything. And because you can then put the sundial here, but we'll get into that in a minute. So time was once experienced locally and ritually, not enforced universally, because everybody's time is different depending where they live on the earth. Like Rosemary said, it depends what you're trying to measure. So I just have this little animation of, which is the cardinal points, which is the same thing as a 24-hour clock. How the sun rises in the east and then it sets in the west, right? Which we call harvest time, which would be the winter time, which would be the spring time, which would be the summertime. So it's a clock within a clock within a clock within a clock, the 24-hour clock. So then, obviously, then when you start looking at astrology or any other types of clocks, then you would definitely want to be looking at this sort of a clock, because it has everything that you need for growing, for understanding, all that good stuff. So as we look at the flame of the day, we forget that it is the oil that we must preserve. So read between the lines with this verse, because this is where the clocks start getting talked about in the Bible. So Matthew chapter 25, wise and foolish virgins, listen to the language, not the labels. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps, and they went forth to meet the bridegroom. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 of them were foolish. That they were foolish took their lamps, and took no oil with them. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. So the thing is, it's all about preserving. And when we go to sleep at night, we're re-energizing. When we do all kinds of forgiveness process, when we do all these different things, we're replenishing that oil within. Because they used to have oil lamps. So here's some of the different ones they had. They had the hour clock. They used to burn at night. They used to burn candles. So this would know what time of the night it was when they got up in the middle of the night. They also had these water clocks that they could use day and night. And then here's one where they used to use an oil lamp. So they fill it up with oil, and they burn this so they'll know. So why did they use these? There's a whole bunch of different reasons why they might have been using these. So then we didn't always live by ticking clocks. Time once lived in the home, in lamps, stars, and women's hands. The 24-hour day is not Roman or modern. It is Egyptian, cosmic, and maternal. Isis kept time long before Babylon tried to own it. An oil lamp clock did not divide time into control people. It marked shared human rhythm, sleep, prayer, birth, death, and return. Because the oil does not only represent the oil that keeps this flame going, but it's also the oil that keeps us in this body, in the embodiment. And if you want to talk about re-embodiment while you're in this body, we got to preserve this essence, this oil. So that's why this thing was also symbolic. So across all the ancient cultures, ancient Egypt, ancient Greek, the Roman Empire, they had these sayings. Anyway, so it has pure Isis symbolism. So oil is life, is love, is continuity. The flame is illumination, its presence. You're here, but the descent of oil burning the pure essence. Night watches, womb, gestation, rebirth to illumination. So again, this is a measure of our heart as light as a feather. If we're using, for example, sexual energy, that's burning the oil, right? Sex is not supposed to be a sport. Go figure, right? So this is why the Bible keeps saying, keep your lamps full, watch the night. The bridegroom, which is Ceres, right, the harvester, comes at an hour you do not expect. And that's what is happening to people all around the world right now, because if we run out of oil, we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing, we're not doing the forgiveness process, then the bridegroom comes, takes you away. So women were always the keepers of time. Lamps trimmed at night, offerings at certain star hours. So they used to get out there and follow the stars. So don't burn the midnight oil. That's when we want to recharge. The material world can wait. People always say that, oh, I stayed up all night. What were you doing? There's no need for it. Get back to the circadian rhythm, like a couple of you said. So during the day, the sundial is used to establish three absolutes. The true local noon, when the shadow is the shortest, like some of you said. But this fixes the north and south line, the meridian, because these longitude lines are very important as far as essences and knowing the greater cycles of when we have things like Phoenix rising. So the east-west line becomes perpendicular to the noon line, often marked permanently on the ground. The vertical reference, the genome itself, this puppy right here, right? Call it an obelisk, call it whatever. Its upright axis tied to the local ground. At this point, the dial is no longer a clock. It is a survey instrument fixed to the earth, because it also tells you your longitude line, not just your latitude. Okay, so at night, there is no shadow. But what they did, instead of here, the observer stands still and watches the shadow moves. Here, the observer moves around and he starts looking at all the different stars. That's how they used to track time. But what are they looking for? They're looking for when Mary comes back. The bigger cycles. They weren't just looking to see when the moons were. They wanted to know the big cycle when Mama comes home and gives us a can of whoop ass. Right? So they know that when we go through these pandemics, it's because Mary's home. We're being induced by love. And it's us gods and goddesses that are getting called back. So you are at one with the cosmic clock, not where we confused ourselves that we are separate and only of the 12-hour clock, right? So we look at that 12-hour clock, but it's confusing. It's misguiding because it's only half the story. It's separating day from night when they are connected. One is tethered to the other. So you are the micro clock and the macro clock, like Rosemary said. And if you think about it, all we need is a stick and 12 equal spacings around the circle. And then you can grow all your plants. Everything follows that absolute cycle. How much sun, how much shade, full sun, full shade. So everything you guys were talking about was awesome. So, but do you remember us talking about this alignment? A lot of people, astrologers, were talking about the January 18th alignment. But we knew it was huge because, I mean, you got Mercury aligned the moon and the sun and everybody there, your wings, Pluto. Mars, Vesta. All right. And then just know that Mary Magdalene and Pluto will be controlling the chart later on in April. And we'll talk about that when we get closer. So I just remind you that we talked about this huge energy. Well, did you hear about what happened on January the 18th? There was a high-speed trail collision. Was Mary there? That's the question. Does Mary show up when these things happen? Is this to do with the Phoenix rising season? So when you look at the exact time this happened, all right, I won't go into detail. This is here for people. If they ever want to ask me questions, they're more than welcome to. But at the exact same time, see what I plot is the location, and then it's anti-location. And so because this is just in the 4th house, that means it's in Cancer. So then I also plot where exactly it is here, and it's antipode. And as you can see, right at the exact time of the crash, it was aligned with star Arcanar. This star is absolutely amazing because we had it all in the wrong spot. Claudius told me had it in the right spot, but the astronomers of today and NASA have that in a different spot. Is that intentional or not? I don't know. But see, this is so right at the Phoenix rising location, the antipodes, that spot in Cancer absolutely aligns with the Phoenix rising location. And Mother Mary was on the natal earth of Betelgeuse, which causes calamity. So right at that time, and there's all kinds of beautiful alignments that will cleanse some people, but then it took some people out of the visible. All right. So this is what we have to understand. So Mother Mary is showing her face. So why is not everyone catching this? Because we have the wrong data. Claudius told me it left it there for us. Again, in the constellation of the river, so this constellation here, the last one is Arcanar. This is Eridanus, the constellation. This one here, the astrologers and astronomers have up here. So you'll never see this. So that right here, it's right here. So 0 is Aries, 0 degree, 10 minutes. So that star is there and was exactly there at that time. So in times of collective strain and uncertainty, humanity instinctively turns to the feminine principle that holds, nourishes, and remains present through the long night. The Vatican, knowingly or unknowingly, preserves this ancient memory in titles like Our Lady of the Pilar, where Mary is not a distant miracle, but a living inner essence of midnight oil. Long before a veiled doctrine, this role was known through Isis, the mother who gathers, restores, and sustains order through love. So different names, same function, the divine feminine as pillar, lamp, and witness. When systems shake, we return to the wisdom that can never be lost. So it's interesting that the Vatican put out a telegram, wishing all the families and all that, sending all their condolences. But they mentioned the Lady of the Pilar, and they talk about the risen Lord, which we know Lord is the exact same thing as Isis, is Mary. So they mention Our Lady of the Pilar when Mother Mary was involved with this waking up cleanse for people to realize that she's back and she's going to settle for nothing but us to do our homework and get back to love and forgiveness. So this is how this loving energy shows up. So another one we said, remember January the 12th we were following, that's when she comes out of retrograde. Well, right at that time, exactly in Russia, I'm not going to go through the chart, she dropped all kinds of snow. When there's ice and cold events and people have to go to stillness, major stillness like this, she's involved. So on that day when she went retrograde, she sent a message to all of us. We have to pay attention. So this is another date we to remember in our timeline. Mary, Isis, she's the ice queen, the woman of the underworld, the protector of the hearth. She keeps showing her essence and will demand stillness, especially when we build Babylon. All these great big buildings, it's against Mother Nature. They get taken down. They do. Okay, so thank you to Danny Skylark for this gem, just showing you another time that she shows up when there's snow. So the miracle of the snow refers to an unexpected snowfall on August 5th, 358 AD in the height of summer. This was known as a Mother Mary event, which marked the exact ground plan for what would become the Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore. The event is remembered as an act of gentle instruction, nature itself indicating where a sacred foundation should rest. But it's not the physical foundation, it's the remembrance foundation. So in this artwork over here, the miracle of snow, Mary appears not as a distant figure. There she is, Mary with the sun, right? But as a guiding presence above with those below, trace and honor the pattern revealed on earth. In the context of our gathering, this repeatable miracle echoes an ancient truth. When humanity certainly falters, the divine feminine cleanses, quietly marking the clock with events so that what is remembered rests in harmony with the greater order of one love through forgiveness. People, we have to stop saying, when COVID came, you're erasing the history books of what this special divine thing is. Mary is back. Isis is back. Mictalcoatl, White Buffalo Calf Woman, Kali, Freya, whatever you want to call her. She's back. It's not a virus, we know that. But it's not a COVID either. It's pure love induction that we're receiving, which we call Mary in the Sea of Love. So at that time, at the exact time, there's that pode, antipode, right on the full moon. Okay, so you got an absolute full moon, and it happened right over the location. So this is location, but boom, you can see the reflection, the mirror. That's why I had AI help me create these, because doing this manually was a pain in the butt, and now I can see much more. So Pallas was involved, of course. That brought all kinds of community together to see Mother Mary's sign right on that new moon. Sorry, full moon. So these divine events show up. It's Mother Mary, not a literal being. It's the divine feminine essence that's in each and every one of us. It's in every atom. It's the black hole. It's the ether. It's what mainstream physics called funny action at a distance, quantum entanglement. It's pure love. Mother Mary, Isis, love, still point, 0 point energy. What do you want to, whatever you want to call it. All right. One last one, we're done, because I just wanted to show you all how these clocks show us. This grander clock is upon us, showing us, hey, it's time to be still. Work with Mother Nature. It took out a whole, I'm not sure if you heard about this, but my buddy Sandy says the other day, he says, hey, did you hear about the hurricane-like cyclone that hit Sicily? It sure did, and it did a lot to the whole fishing industry. While Mother Mary is saying, leave the fish alone. She gives us plenty to eat. So exact same thing. Okay, I won't go into detail, but there is the complete alignment, shows you this energy. It's there. This is the exact time it hit landfall. So the north and south node are the black holes in the sky, so they'll create a vortex, so they'll create a cyclone. All right? If everybody in the area is doing their work, you won't feel these. It's going toward people need to cleanse. It's like this. If 100 of us went and made so many waves that we hurt people, we would accumulate in next lifetimes and be all together when a tsunami comes. You'll be guided to that location to feel that. So that's why we have to have a heart as light as a feather. Everybody in this group does. The forgiveness process is real, but we have to spread that love and those images everywhere, that everybody's getting it, that the divine feminine energy, love, is back, and we have to submit to it. And that's all we have for today.